people can do that.
Right.
Now there's one other area you can do it, but it's just not that common.
So they're trying to bring the averages up for the
right.
Yeah.
We're done for the day, but you want to get in touch with Professor Plum at Lucia Capital, 800-644-1150, 800-644-1150. You can give them a call over there. This is Bucket Strategy Investing.
We're talking about what's important to you, your money, your business, your life. This is Bucket Strategy Investing. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of the station or its sponsors and should not be considered as legal, tax, or investment advice. You should always consult with the appropriate advisors before making a decision. Lucia Wealth Services advisors are registered representatives of Lucia Securities LLC, member SIPC. Lucia Capital Group, Lucia Wealth Services, and Lucia Securities are affiliates.
Hi, it's Colin Coward. You're listening to ESPN Radio 1700. Catch me weekdays at 7 a.m. ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome to Lunch and Learn Radio with host Frank Kriticos, author and credit expert from San Diego Credit Solutions. Lunch and Learn Radio on ESPN Radio 1700.
All right, welcome to Lunch and Learn Radio, ESPN 1700. I'm your host, Frank Kriticos. We have a great show lined up for you today. I was asked to host a show because I am not in the real estate field. But this primarily is a real estate show. So with that being said, a lot of times you have these real estate shows that are hosted by either a realtor or a lender. And in my position, I'm just, let's say, non-biased. I know a little bit about real estate, enough to get myself in trouble, but that's okay. That's why we have two experts here that can help all of us out. Again, this is Frank Kriticos. If you have any questions throughout the show, feel free to email me directly, lunchandlearnradio@gmail.com. lunchandlearnradio@gmail.com. So in the studio today we have Mark Tamborski. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Now, did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes.
Okay, because I realized that I was mispronouncing it for a couple of years. Okay.
Good.
So you are from Green Rock Realty. And what's interesting is that we have two agents here that are from the smaller boutique type of offices, which is interesting, and I'm going to ask both you guys why. Sitting alongside you, Mark, we have Nadia Colucci. How are you, Nadia?
I'm good, Frank. Thanks for having me.
I'm trying to figure out what nationality you are.
Yeah,
but anyway, so Mark, you're representing Green Rock Realty. Nadia, you are from Pacific Coast Executive Realty.
Correct.
Mark, explain to me why you went with a smaller boutique type of real estate office.
Well, Nadia and I actually spoke about this a little bit before the show, and we both worked for the big corporate companies, and which was great for training and the experience and the hands-on, the mentorships, the programs. But I think once you develop your own personalized business model, you don't really necessarily need to stay in the nest per se.
Right.
So, and obviously the fees that go along with some of the bigger corporate companies that do a lot of the advertising you don't have in the smaller boutiques. So.
Okay, so it gives you a little bit more control. It's the bigger companies are good for an agent who's starting out, obviously, right? Because they have all the support.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point in time, your thought is, you know what, I can kind of leave the corporate structure now that you're more experienced, and with that also comes lower fees.
Correct. Yes.
Which can be very helpful for your business, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Plus, you have a little more room to negotiate.
Right.
Fees with your clients as well. You don't really necessarily have to climb the ladder to get an okay or a permission to, reduce a commission or, negotiate something else.
Sure.
So
less red tape.
Exactly.
Nadia, how about yourself? I know that you also started off at a bigger company, which is fine. And I just like to say that there's nothing wrong with the bigger companies. There's a lot of value. There's
for sure.
lots of value. That's why these companies have been around forever. But at some point in time, I've noticed that certain agents at a level that you both are performing at will tend to kind of go on your own. Nadia, what was your take? I know that you started off with a bigger company, and now you're also with a smaller boutique type of office.
I did, yeah. I started out actually even in college interning a little bit, so I think I'd honed in on the fact that experience is obviously key in whatever industry really you choose to go into. So I worked with Prudential, which now Berkshire, but for about 9.5 years, and it was wonderful. They had a great training program, and I interviewed with probably 30 offices when I first picked my office, maybe a little too many, but it helped me narrow down the right manager that I wanted and the right area, and it helped me grow. And yeah, their training was awesome, very good. And I didn't leave for a long time because I liked it, and quite honestly, being busy, it's hard to kind of make the switch. So I stayed with them for a long time, and I had a great time working for them.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where it's almost a personality thing. Some people do well around a larger team, I guess you could say, or just more people around the office, type of maybe more energy, which I see the value to that. And other people would tend to just have a smaller, more intimate office where there's less red tape. You could probably get your answers or your questions answered quicker.
Yeah,
right? It doesn't have to go through so many different levels.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a good and bad.
Well, funny you should say that. Mark and I were talking about that as well earlier, that a lot of times in the offices with a lot of agents, there's a lot of chatter going on. And we're like, we're here to actually work today, so we got to shut our door and get
somebody
things
brought
done.
a cake in for somebody else's birthday or something's going on, and
Which is great. I mean,
It's
right?
just
It's
many
good to have that
distractions,
camaraderie,
yeah.
but we're there to focus.
Which
so.
leads me to my pet peeve.
Oh, dear.
And I think I may have mentioned this to you both. I know for our regular listeners, they hear me say this almost every single week. Whoever is brought into the studio is not the part-time agent. Okay? and for any agent that is part-time, I think that's perfectly okay. I really do. I don't find that as being an issue. But in my position as the credit advisor, I am also involved in the transactions, and I sometimes will have to come across agents and lenders all the time because I'm part of the team work as far as getting somebody into a home. And it's very interesting to me. If it's frustrating for me, it must be enormously frustrating for you guys. And, I just like to put it out there that whoever is in the studio on my show is a full-time agent. This is their livelihood.
It is.
And it just changes everything.
Yeah.
It changes everything. And like I said, maybe it's not the politically correct thing to say, but that's okay. It's just one of those things that really bugs me. And you guys are laughing because I know you could probably tell stories about situations like that where transaction probably went sideways.
Absolutely. I mean, how much time we got on the show?
Yeah, exactly.
You're always, the beauty about our business is you're always running into, every day at the office is something different. Every transaction is different. You're working with different agents, but then you also have these agents that who you want to work with, and you have some agents that that do it part-time, and like you said, there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's your livelihood, and I mean, come on, face it, we have a bad enough rep as it is. It's the one bad experience somebody has that they tell a million people, and now with social media it just gets spread out so fast, so quick. If you're not doing it full-time, or you're not compassionate about what you're doing in real estate, then you can stick with just doing your friends and family and a couple transactions, or maybe for your own personal use.
Yeah, and the reason I bring this up is because a lot of times my clients are connected to a lender or an agent, right? So they have some credit mishaps in the past, and I get them all squared away, and then I've noticed a pattern, which is when my clients start to get excited, they start to see their credit scores go up, they actually start to have hope.
Right.
Then they start getting excited. They start talking to their sphere, to their friends, family, coworkers, and somebody knows an aunt, uncle, brother, sister, cousin who does one transaction per year, and the transaction goes in that direction, I guess is the only way for me to say it. And I am on the other end of hearing all the mishaps. And it's one of those things where I believe that the average listener believes that all you realtors are the same.
Yeah.
I really do. And I am here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that that's not the case.
No,
So-
I think we work probably 25/8, not even 24/7. I think we have to be available. I think most people want an expert in their field. I'm
Right.
sure you agree that to be an expert, you can't just hone in on one skill, and you can't just work with buyers. You can't just work with sellers. You can't pigeonhole yourself. So you have to have a wealth of knowledge that branches out to 1031 exchanges, trusts, probates, first time, multi-unit. I mean, it's a lot, and the market changes all the time, the laws change all the time. So part-time is great, but to keep abreast of everything that's going on, you kind of have to do it full-time.
Nadia, you brought something up. You said 25 hours a day, right?
8 days a week.
And what's interesting is that you and I were having a conversation a while back, and you mentioned to me that your husband is actually in the business as well, so he understands what it's like to have to pick up that phone call.
Yeah, when I was dating, I put out an ad and I said, "Realtor wanted, must be tall," because I'm obviously tall, and I found him. So it's great. He does understand, and he's very supportive and understanding for that reason. When that call comes in at dinner time, he's cool with it. He lets me take it, and vice versa. You kind of have to be available. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced the same thing, Mark.
Absolutely.
Your clients get home from work. That's their job. That's what they have to stress about. And there's a reason that we're here, is to take away all the pain and stress that comes with transactions sometimes. So taking a quick phone call for 20 minutes is not work, really. If you're good at what you do, it's just a quick favor to put someone's mind out of their misery at that moment, I guess.
Plus, you develop relationships with the clients. So there, a lot of times you're probably friends with half of your clients after a while.
You have to be. You're spending enough time with them.
Yeah, you move in sometimes. I had a new client tell me, she's like, "Well, you sound great, but I hate to tell you, we can't be friends because I don't work with friends." And I thought that was a big bummer. For 15 years I've been doing this, and my friends have been the number one support referral base that I have, and it's been great. I think sometimes you should work harder for your friends, or the same treatment anyways. I find sometimes you run into those agents that are friends, or lenders that are friends, and are like, maybe let it slide a little bit more and maybe aren't as aggressive. Because
so the question is, are you still friends with that lady?
Yeah, well, she's new, but we will be.
Okay.
Well, I think it goes back to, Frank, what you were saying about part-time agents, and I can kind of understand her point by saying she doesn't work with friends because friends might get a little lazy.
Yeah.
They're not doing it full-time. They do 2-3 transactions a year, and they're not in it every day.
Right. I mean, if you're going to invest, let's say, $450,000 with a financial advisor, are you going to go to someone who only does this 3 days a week? I want someone who knows the stock prices. You have to go to the expert.
It's the largest purchase of your life.
Right. Yeah.
It just seems so obvious, but again, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier, in that I believe that the average person believes that a realtor you're all the same. I really believe that, because I hear it. I hear it all the time from my end with working with credit. I just and that's why I like to bring that up, because as far as I'm concerned, it's my duty to let people know that whoever's in the studio is at a high level. It's a big deal for me to let people know.
And let me say, if you're out there, and a lot of the time it might be that you don't want to hurt someone's feelings that you're friends with. Well, guess what? Mark and I do referral fees. So bring it to us. We'll get it done, and we'll refer 25% standard referral fee off the top to that friend of yours that does it part-time. So you're not burning any bridges between friendships.
Especially when we're talking about where I think that somebody at your level shines is when there's issues.
Yeah.
Okay. When a transaction is easy and simple, which hopefully most of them are, but sure, the part-time agent could probably be just fine. It's just regular, contracts and open escrow, blah, blah, blah. But I think where you two shine is when there's a problem. And this goes back to having less red tape, because you have access to your broker, probably you're friends with them, right? If I were to guess. And you can get your answers almost immediately. And that's where I believe the difference is, in having that experience of those difficult transactions.
Very much so. We have currently, right now, home inspection came up. There's 5 windows that are fogged, right? And none of the faucets work. Because I've worked, because I've worked for builders before as well, I know that there's usually a lifetime warranty for the original owner. So what did we do? We called up the vendor for the windows, the faucets. It's all taken care of. It's $3,500 that the client just saved. I think that's intimidating when you read a home inspection report and you're like, I have to replace 5 windows and all the faucets in the house. But guess what? If you know, if you have the experience or you have the contacts to ask, you know that more than likely it's covered by the warranty.
Yeah, see, that's something I wouldn't even think of. And again, that's why I let people know, our listeners, that I'm not the expert in real estate, but that's why having you come in is so valuable. Because little things like that are not really that little is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
I mean, that could be the difference between somebody wanting to purchase that home and then they get totally turned off because the agent doesn't really have a solution, right? compared to you coming in, both you guys, and saying, well, this is what I know. I've dealt with this before.
Yeah, let's handle
And
it.
this is how we resolve it. Not a big deal. And then you just pick up where you left off.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that's smart. We were talking, when you mentioned part-time agents, I'm sure when on your listing you get an offer as well, you're more inclined to go with someone who does it every day. They know what they're
Right.
doing. You know, and I do the same when I'm representing the buyer. I say, listen, I know the timelines, and
Yeah.
I'll meet them, and I'll get everything done, and we have to manage title, escrow, loan.
Right.
So
No,
it's good.
I think that makes a lot of sense. You both have very interesting backgrounds, what I want to talk about. We have to take a quick break. But when we come back, I want to get into your backgrounds, how you ended up here, because it's, I think, opposite, both from where you came from, which is really, really interesting. This is Lunch and Learn Radio, ESPN 1700, Frank Kriticos. We'll be right back.
California Preferred Escrow, serving the real estate industry across San Diego County. For more information about California Preferred Escrow, this great local company, call 619-475-4094. That's 619-475-4094.
Tycor Title of San Diego is the next generation of title companies. They offer their clients the most complete real estate services in the nation. They have 4 convenient locations in the greater San Diego area to service all your residential and commercial transactions. Tycor Title of San Diego offers you title and escrow solutions. Whether you are buying, selling, or refinancing, they have you covered. With over a century of experience, you can count on Tycor Title of San Diego. They have a solid history of servicing customers with high integrity, white glove service, and value. They also have unrivaled financial strength to back your policies. For all your real estate transactions, call Tycor Title of San Diego today at 619-260-5200.
This holiday season, buy $25 in Buffalo Wild Wings gift cards good for a future visit and get a blazing bonus worth up to $100. What if everything came with a bonus?
As a thank you for buying a pair of our shoes, we're going to give you a bonus shoe.
Just one shoe.
Yep, the left one.
Okay. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Promotion begins November 24, 2014. To receive the bonus, no purchase necessary. Must be 18 or older, valid in restaurant at participating U.S. locations. Void in Florida, New York, Rhode Island, where prohibited by law. For entry without purchase information and official rules, visit BuffaloWildWings.com.
Black Friday deals are here early, which means it's time to start saving big on tools and gifts at Lowe's. Hurry in now to take advantage of our great deals, like $100 off the Cobalt Mechanics tool set, now $99, or $150 off the DeWalt 18-volt NiCad combo kit, now $199. Don't miss out on the year's best deals at Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. While supplies last, valid 11/19 through 11/26. See store for details, U.S. only.
You wake up one morning, it's Independence Day. The next thing you know, it's Halloween. Then before you know it, it's New Year's Eve. Time goes by quickly. If you need to perform any procedures to renew your voter's credential, do it now and join those who decide what they want for Mexico. Go to INE.mx or call 01-800-433-2000. You have until January 15th to register. With you, Mexico is more. Join National Electoral Institute. INE.
Welcome back, Lunch and Learn Radio, ESPN 1700. Frank Kriticos here. We have Mark Tamborski, and next to Mark, we have Nadia Colucci. How are you both doing today?
Great, Frank. Thanks.
Great. So before we left for this last break, I mentioned how you both kind of have very interesting backgrounds. I shouldn't say interesting, just different. Mm-hmm. Nadia, you are, first of all, you're a local San Diego.
I think I'm one of the 3 left.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Born and bred
yeah,
here.
You're the only one in here.
Yeah.
And you went to USD, and what's interesting is that you grew up in a family of real estate builders, etc., correct?
I did, yeah. I think it's in my blood. I was born and bred like a thoroughbred horse racing in the track at Del Mar or something. Like, it was just destined as a child, really. We grew up, my dad was a realtor. He was a contractor, a developer, still is. He retired now, but my brothers are, cousins,
really?
in-laws. Wow. Yeah, it's a big,
so you
crazy.
get to hear all the stories at the dinner table of all the transactions that went sideways.
Oh, yeah. Always. And then also the different markets, you know, you'd be
Yes.
surprised how cyclical they are.
Boy.
So it's, you know, like I said, I was around at the dinner table as a young kid. So
Yeah. No, I think that's great. That there's definitely value there. And then you have Mark. You come from a place that is getting probably hammered with snow right
Beat
now.
up.
Oh.
Yeah.
You are from Ohio, right?
Yes.
Okay.
About 30 miles east of Cleveland.
Interesting.
On Route 90, which I think is closed down right now.
Yeah, tell me
3
about
feet
it.
of snow.
Oh my gosh.
And your background, you were swinging the hammer. You started out construction and really seeing these homes that now you're selling, you're seeing the actual bones of them.
I did, yeah. I was actually 13 years old. My neighbor was a contractor, and I think it was just my parents wanted me out of the house as fast as possible at that time, at that age. And so my neighbor offered me a little labor job, and I was making a killing. I mean, $2 an hour. You can't coach that. And but I was actually the coolest kid on the block because I had a moped, and I bought my own gas and did my own thing
Nice.
with $2 an hour, and I was $80 a week. I was thrilled. But I got to see like, it was really cool to see actually a pile of wood that got broken down, and then all of a sudden, a few months later, depending on how big the house was, a structure.
Right.
And it was mind-boggling to me, knowing that each individual step happened to get to where it was.
I think that's very interesting because unfortunately I am on the opposite spectrum as far as a hammer that I'm holding is just, it's nothing good is going to come
You're
out.
going to hurt yourself with it?
I mean, yeah, it's just not a good sight. So that's something that I can't appreciate. But for you, you're out there swinging a hammer. You're seeing actually what's happening. You're going through all the stages, and now you're selling real estate. So I thought that was really interesting how you come up from that background. And Nadia, you're local. Your family is involved in real estate in all aspects. Mark, also another thing that I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that makes you a really good agent is that you have been in the restaurant industry for a while.
Very long time.
So you really know how should I say this? Handle the different personalities.
I do. I've been in restaurants. Gosh, I think I worked at Wendy's when I was 16 years old, and I spent close to 20 years behind the bar, and I saw every different personality. But the good thing about real estate and hospitality is it kind of goes hand in hand because it's all about anticipation and needs, and it's all about getting things done properly, timely, and efficiently. And I think both industries have a similarity to that. I think most agents may have a couple drinks too, which is pretty similar, but yeah, it's taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot being in the industry, for sure.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me. It's because this is the thing. People like to do business, as we already know, with people that they know, like, and trust, right? So if you know how to jive with the different personalities, that really is helpful.
Yeah.
Because, here in San Diego, we have different cultures, and that's really important. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why you're good at what you do. And then for you, Nadia, just growing up in the business and hearing it from both perspectives, the builder's perspective, the borrower's perspective, your dad is buying and selling and your brothers are in the business. I think that's very valuable, probably more than you guys realize.
Probably. I mean, I feel like I was in the hospitality business too. I'm the youngest of 5, so I was serving everyone constantly.
Oh, wow.
So we had that going on. But I worked in litigation consulting before getting into real estate full time.
Yeah, that's interesting you brought that up. Let me interrupt you.
Oh, yeah,
because
go
I
for it.
have down in my notes that you do have a litigation background.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me because we're talking about purchase contracts.
Yeah.
We're talking about, again, in my own opinion, the average realtor that doesn't understand what a purchase contract really is.
Yeah, and it's changing
It's
next
gonna be
week.
changing, yeah.
So contracts, I guess, with the experience I have. So I'm not a litigator, but I was litigation consulting. So basically my boss was the expert witness in a case, which was really exciting and cool. Enjoyed it. It's very analytical, and I think that pertains a lot to investing in real estate, whether you're an investor or you're a first-time home buyer. Either way, it's an investment. So, we had great experience. It honed in some great skills. I studied accounting and procurement, so that probably helped a lot. There's probably 3 people that know what procurement is, but
I have no idea, so I'm not even going to figure. Just please tell us.
It's contract pricing and the art of negotiating.
Yeah.
So at a corporate level, and I think we use that on a day-to-day basis as well. So it's a matter of understanding maybe all the personalities you have at a table. When discussing my case and my home. All 5 of us were very different.
Right.
But it's managing expectations, I think, too, and setting them correctly for the client.
Knowing when to be firm, knowing when to back off.
For sure.
It's it's almost like a little bit of a game, right? A little song and dance.
It is. Yeah, it was. And like Mark was saying about the clients in hospitality, the same with mine in litigation. We worked and sometimes moved into the client's office and redirected their whole entire business flow. And you can't come in and do that to someone who's been doing it for 20 years and say you're doing it wrong and get the same results unless you soften that blow a little bit. And I think that's important to know.
Yeah, no, this is all valuable stuff. I really believe that this, as I go through your background, it's really clicking as to why you guys are doing well out there. And good for you guys. And I feel like, again, you probably don't realize some of the some of these benefits that you have, because when we are raised in any environment, it's just, we don't really realize it. It's just who we are, you know. But I think it's a real big benefit. Okay, so I guess I should talk a little bit about real estate. You know, I really am into understanding, you know, our backgrounds and just getting to know the person on a personal level. But Mark, so I know that, and I will admit that when I found out where you purchased your latest home, I was a little puzzled. Okay, I'll just say that.
A lot of people were.
Yeah. Now, you bought a beautiful home a few years back in Hamul.
Yes.
Now, I've heard of it. I've heard of the place. I probably rode my motorcycle through there, you know, quite often. But I'll be honest with you, I'm just thinking that's just way out there. It's not even a thought. Not even a thought. So then, after you purchased your home, I was, you know, checking it out, and I was curious. So I went on Google Maps, you know.
Most people have to look on maps to find out where it is.
You know, and it kind of changed my view, because first of all, it wasn't as far away as I thought. And the first thing that I noticed is that you have some land, right? How much?
About 2 acres. Yeah,
2 acres. My goodness. Coming from Ohio, I mean, that's just normal.
That's how I grew up.
Yeah,
doesn't fall too far, you know.
Yeah. So talk to me. So naturally, I want to talk to you about Hamul, and I must admit that I have a little bit of a personal interest because I want to learn more about it. So tell me why you went there, how you ended up there, and all that good stuff.
Well, you know, the first house my wife and I bought was in 2001 in Spring Valley, and you know, back then prices were pretty decent. We were in a completely different market. You know, we started, you know, raising our children in a house that we just felt we were going to outgrow. We have 3 small boys now, and we needed room. So just like anybody looking on the market, I set myself up on a search, and I just set it to a pretty general parameter of East County. And this house particularly came on the market. And like you, I remember driving through Hamul going, wow, this is beautiful. Like, this is kind of how I grew up. Wow, I'd love to own out here. Thinking I had to buy a horse too with the house, but you don't. So, you know, it just happened that this home was a short sale, and it fell in my lap, and the price was ridiculously, you know, perfect. And I mean, we even have a partial ocean view in Hamul on a clear day. So, you know, with 3 small boys, and at the time we had 2, but with 2 acres, and the way technology's going, and everybody's kind of glued to their smartphones and iPads and video games, I just wanted my family to experience how I grew up, and that was playing in the backyard, getting dirty.
I think I know where you're going. I think I know what you're trying to say without saying it. And it's funny because you have 3 boys. I have, as you know, 1 on the way any day, literally any day
minute.
Yeah, so in case I just leave, you guys can have to
we'll take over.
Yeah.
You got it.
And I do see some value, and the thing that comes to mind is an article that I probably saw on social media of where Steve Jobs mentioned that he wouldn't let his kids use one of his devices. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So I do see the value there. It's almost a different type of living. But yeah, so that's more of a personal thing. But I hear what you're saying there. I do think that it's easy for these kids and even adults. Sometimes I find myself getting a little addicted to these devices.
You get caught up.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see children do that, because that's a whole nother show, but the whole social skills that's being developed in our generation.
Yeah. Say no more. That's a whole nother
I'll leave
show.
it at that.
Yeah.
That was a period at the end of that sentence.
But if anybody wants to chime in on that, then, you know, I'd be curious, especially as a new parent to be, you know, send me your thoughts on what we're talking about if you don't really want to when you put in an email, you could probably say a little bit more of what you're really feeling. But send me an email, lunchandlearnradio@gmail.com. Again, lunchandlearnradio@gmail.com. Nadia.
Yes.
Now, you, on the other hand, you grew up in San Diego.
I did.
And you live on the coast, right?
Currently now on the coast, yeah. And I grew up also kind of north Hamul, which would be Vista.
Oh, really?
So North County.
Okay.
But Vista, I look at it's pretty much the same all through San Diego County. Coastal properties are one thing, and if you want a little more land, you just go a little east. So my parents both are from Europe, and they grew up probably similar to you, and we grew up there in the summertime, so we were getting dirty. We had no TV, no phone. My dad was like, nothing at this house. I want to relax. And so we had that here as well, with the coastline being about 7 miles away. So
what's great about the coast is that it's free.
Yeah.
You could just go there, and the problem is that the kids really don't understand how good they have it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're from Ohio, I'm from New
Yeah,
York. I mean,
exactly.
being able to just hop in a car for 10 minutes and enjoy the Pacific is really, really interesting.
No, we're
But,
truly blessed out here.
Absolutely.
For sure.
We have to take another break. When we come back, we're gonna dive into a little bit more real estate. I just, like I said, I enjoy understanding how you both got into the business, and it's just very interesting to me. lunchandlearnradio@gmail.com. If you have any questions, this is Frank Kriticos, Lunch and Learn Radio, ESPN 1700.
California Preferred Escrow, serving the real estate industry across San Diego County. For more information about California Preferred Escrow, this great local company, call 619-475-4094. That's 619-475-4094.
Ty Court Title of San Diego is the next generation of title companies. They offer their clients the most complete real estate services in the nation. They have 4 convenient locations in the greater San Diego area to service all your residential and commercial transactions. Ty Court Title of San Diego offers you title and escrow solutions. Whether you are buying, selling, or refinancing, they have you covered. With over a century of experience, you can count on Ty Court Title of San Diego. They have a solid history of servicing customers with high integrity, white glove service, and value. They also have unrivaled financial strength to back your policies. For all your real estate transactions, call Ty Court Title of San Diego today at 619-260-5200.
This is John Feinstein, and this is a CBS Sports Minute. There's an old saying in sports, good idea, poor execution. That would best describe the NFL's decision to suspend Adrian Peterson for the rest of the season after he plea bargained his way out of jail on charges of beating up his 4-year-old son. Peterson hasn't missed a paycheck since the charges were filed. The league needed to make sure people understood that what he did was intolerable. But as has become its MO, the NFL has handled the case so clumsily that there's no telling what will happen when Peterson and the NFLPA appeal the suspension. The league hemmed and hawed for a while after the legal case was resolved. It asked for court documents, asked to meet in person with Peterson, and then finally penalized him. Suspension? Good idea. Execution? Not so hot. Yet again, I'm John Feinstein.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-203-7718. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It'll be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a non-profit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car. And as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-203-7718. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-203-7718. That's 1-800-203-7718.
Welcome back, Lunch and Learn Radio, ESPN 1700. Frank Kriticos here. Mark, I know you want to start singing along to that song.
I thought it was live.
Okay, so we have Mark Tamborski from Green Rock Realty, and then we also have Nadia Colucci. I kind of want to just say it.
Say it over and over. It's great.
It's just funny. From Pacific Coast Executive Realty. So there's a couple of questions that I want to ask you that is real estate related. I think that we all got to know you both a little bit better as far as your personalities, which I feel is very, very important. But one thing that I always ask to every agent that comes on the show, and again, it's partially for my own personal gain. I hate to admit that. But where do you both see, Mark, we'll start off with you. Where do you see the hidden gems in San Diego? I will say that a couple of years ago, it was probably Normal Heights, North Park, my goodness, South Park, right?
Still today, I think.
Yeah, but those values are going up. They're getting a lot of attention. But if you were to have a crystal ball, where would you say is the next gem?
To me personally, I think the most obvious that stands out is just east of downtown, and that's the Grant Hill, Sherman Heights area. And the only reason why I always keep my eye on those values there, first of all, it's the older homes, the bigger homes. Some have basements. There's some value in those homes.
Wow.
But we have a proposed expansion of the convention center. We have hopefully a possible Charger Stadium going in over there next to Petco. And I think I've seen the transformation of the before and after of East Village and what it's done on the impact of San Diego. And I just feel like it's probably going to move east because there's really no other place to go to expand San Diego downtown.
Right. And I also think that the younger generation, it's probably going to fit them a little bit better because, downtown is expensive. So I almost feel like, East Village is even expensive. So you go across the freeway, now you're in Sherman Heights, right? Now, Golden Hill is also an area that I feel like is very up and coming. What seems to be happening is you see these investors come in, they start knocking down buildings, putting up these nice buildings, and all of a sudden it's contagious.
Absolutely.
Then you have the businesses that come in, and there you go.
And where's their bigger profit margins in a lower developed area like that they can come in and, make some decent money, but then everybody jumps on the bandwagon, like you said, and they start redeveloping streets.
Right. And if you look down the road, 5 to 10 years, looking back, I mean, you're in an ideal location, right? I mean, you could walk to downtown. So it just seems like kind of a no-brainer. So I'm with you on that. Although I don't even know where Grant Hill is. Is that?
It's basically take Market East and you run right into it from downtown, and then Sherman Heights is right in that area as well. It's probably parts of it right now are less to be desired, but like I said, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see what San Diego does, and I think that's going to be a whole new redevelopment for the area.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. Nadia, how about you? I know that you are a coastal girl for the most part, but if you had to kind of figure out where the next gem is, what would be your opinion?
I have a couple of thoughts. I think my approach is a little more analytical, and not to go against anything you guys just said. I think I look at it differently because I'm from here. So I've seen downtown San Diego become the metropolis that it is and growing, which is great. But I also remember downtown San Diego when you wouldn't want to be there after a certain hour. So I've already seen, like Logic would have, and Mark was saying, you can't go west, you can't grow downtown San Diego west because it's the coastline. So eventually, I think if you look, they have news stats that come out with the #1 areas that sell every month, or just the amount of units that sell in every zip code. And you'd be surprised with the price per square foot and the units sold. What I like to do is I like to go to the neighboring zip code, wherever that is. So that could be in North County, where I grew up, right now where I am in Del Mar, or downtown, because I've lived there too. So I think, for example, I remember Polk Street in North Park. We bought an investment property there almost 10 years ago. And so Hillcrest was huge, but it was only huge after Mission Hills became huge and spilled over into Hillcrest. Then Hillcrest spilled over into North Park, and the bordering area of North Park and Hillcrest was the hot spot. And that's where we happened to buy this little investment property, and it was great, flipped it. And we've done that a few other times, and I've helped clients do it. So one area that comes to mind is, I'm sure you guys know and have heard of, Carmel Valley. It's a huge hot spot in North County. So if you look south to Carmel Valley, you have Sorrento Valley. Which takes you from UCSD area. It's got the biotech hub there. I mean, not to mention Qualcomm headquarters. That's obviously a great spot for that. Prices are still quote unquote affordable in comparison.
Now in Sereno Valley, are there, and this may sound ridiculous, but I'm really curious, are there communities in Sereno Valley? I just think of, I automatically think of, like you said, the tech companies, more of a business hub.
Yeah, well, it is. So for relo, they have to go somewhere. And so I get a lot of relo work as well. And it's relocation, relocation specialist. So,
okay.
And a lot of times Carmel Valley offers a great commute from downtown or to Sereno Valley. So there are less communities, but there are definitely communities there, a little older, but the same home roughly in Sereno Valley, it'll be a little older, maybe 10 years, than Carmel Valley, probably $150,000 cheaper. It doesn't have Melrose, it will have HOA, but it's nominal. And why not take a third of that 150 and just remodel it?
Right.
And build equity in your own home. I mean, Carmel Valley is wonderful, but people get priced out really quickly.
Right.
Really
Yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Right. Great schools.
Right.
And Sereno Valley gets to piggyback on some of those schools with Carmel Valley. So
spillover.
Yeah. So I think that's smart. And I actually have them, I'm sure Mark does as well, on my website. So you can always check what the recent stats were. So go back and look at October and check it out. Look at, everyone wants to be in La Jolla.
Right.
Well, La Jolla, Bird Rock borders North PB. North PB is much more affordable than La Jolla will be. So,
absolutely. What I want to do now is just give out your information so people can contact you directly. Nadia, your phone number is 760-214-1802. Again, 760-214-1802. Your website is callnadia.com, correct?
Easy peasy. Just give me a call. Callnadia.com.
Callnadia.com. Again, 760-214-1802. And Mark, for you, 858-254-2484. Again, 858-254-2484. And what is your website?
My website's actually under construction, but I have my Facebook business page, My Home San Diego.
My Home San Diego. So facebook.com /
My Home San Diego.
Perfect. Okay, so brings me to my next question for you both.
Yes.
I'm reading a lot of articles about the projections of the rental market and it going up at a pretty steep
pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure has.
Mark, give me your thoughts. We'll start with you on rent versus buy. I know this is a topic that a lot of people talk about, but it's one that brings a lot of different opinions.
Well, first, I think you got to look at the major difference between rent versus buying, and I think it's based on an individual. You can't force somebody to buy, and even if somebody wants to buy, they might not be in a position to buy, so they're forced to rent. So I think it's going to go on a individual basis, but I think today, purchasing a home in today's market is pretty much a 5-year minimum plan. And then, obviously rental prices increased, I think, by a little over 2% last year. But, like I said, individual, it's a lifestyle, it's a location change, it's, what your commute is back and forth to work. But bottom line, to me, it's different for every individual. You have to take it on a case-by-case basis.
That's a very nice
vague,
political
diplomatic, nice
answer.
way. Mark for president. You're a politician in the house.
I guess you'll tell me the truth after we're off the air. Right. Nadia, what's your take on it?
Well, I'm going to be a little less diplomatic about it, but I say why pay your landlord's mortgage when you can pay your own?
Right.
Our rents have gone up significantly, and yes, it's definitely a case by case. But let's talk about the people that are paying, let's say, on average, $2,500 a month, which you both agree is probably fair for rent. Young families or professionals out there. At $2,500 a month, I have this great article from a lender that just came out. One of the best I've seen, and we've seen a lot. And they say with $2,500 a month, you could buy a home for about $435,000 today. You say that, where am I going to find a home for $435,000? The median price for homes last year was only $508,000, or I'm sorry, not last year, last month. So we're not that far off from getting in. And I think we have to encourage these first-time home buyers to know that there's educate them and know that there's plenty of loan programs out there. Almost 50% of Americans think you have to have 20% down.
Right,
and that's not true. We know that.
Right.
There's 5% conventional, which doesn't even charge you for mortgage insurance. There's 3.5% FHA and VA if that applies to you. So there's room for everyone to get in. But one little quick tidbit, and contact me if you want the article, the tax benefit. So using that same $2,500, you can pay your PITI, which is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Saw me give you that look.
You did. I did. Yeah, sorry. So that PITI, again, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So the whole expense of owning that home. If you take that $2,500 you're paying in rent, in the year, your tax benefit for the year is $7,600. That's a nice little write-off that you probably didn't have before.
Wow.
Not to mention, you've paid almost $6,800 towards your principal for the whole year. I think that's great compared to renting for the year and coming out at the end of the year with nothing per se.
Right. You know, and also an angle that I see a lot is if you're a W-2 employee,
you have no write-off.
It's difficult.
It's tough.
I hate to say this, but it's hard to hide your income because you have the W-2.
What? What are you talking about? No, it's true. And, our interest rates are so awesome still, right? So if anything, borrowing money is still on sale. It's so affordable that you can get. Now, I think the misnomer is a lot of buyers rent in great areas and then want a house in that same area. And that's that American dream we fight for. But at 16, how many of you guys got a brand new Mercedes? Didn't you usually have to work for that and get there? I think we'll eventually put you on the beach. But
I still had that moped.
You're making more than $2 an hour, though.
Right. And that's great advice, both you guys. We have to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to put you both on a hot seat a little bit with a question that I ask everybody, and I hope you're prepared.
Oh, dear.
This is Lunch and Learn Radio, ESPN 1700. We'll be right back.
Nothing means it's game day like ice cold Coke Zero, because zero means it's game day.
Well, what about the smell of crisp fall air?
No, that does not mean it's game day like Coke Zero.
Team flags up in the neighborhood?
Sounds nice, but no.
What about when...
No.
But you don't even know what I was going to say.
Were you going to say zero means it's game day, so therefore nothing means it's game day like Coke Zero?
No, but...
Then it doesn't matter, does it?
Okay.
The refreshing taste of Coke Zero. Zero means it's game day.
The Home Depot's Pro Appreciation Event is this Thursday, November 20th from 7 to 2. So, let's get some pro treatment with special buys on top brands like Milwaukee's 12-volt drill impact driver for just $129. And get up to speed on the Home Depot Pro Extra Loyalty Program. Let's do this. Special savings, free refreshments, and giveaways just for pros. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. While supplies last, U.S. only. See store for details.
California Preferred Escrow, serving the real estate industry across San Diego County. For more information about California Preferred Escrow, this great local company, call 619-475-4094. That's 619-475-4094.
Tycor Title of San Diego is the next generation of title companies. They offer their clients the most complete real estate services in the nation. They have 4 convenient locations in the greater San Diego area to service all your residential and commercial transactions. Tycor Title of San Diego offers you title and escrow solutions. Whether you are buying, selling, or refinancing, they have you covered. With over a century of experience, you can count on Tycor Title of San Diego. They have a solid history of servicing customers with high integrity, white glove service, and value. They also have unrivaled financial strength to back your policies. For all your real estate transactions, call Tycor Title of San Diego today at 619-260-5200.
Hall of Fame catcher Johnny Bench for Blue Emu.
After my playing days were over, I was happy to discover Blue Emu Original Super Strength Cream, the #1 selling muscle and joint cream. Now I also use Blue Emu Continuous Pain Relief Spray for those hard-to-reach places. It's also odor-free and made with soothing, deep-penetrating emu oil. Blue Emu Continuous Pain Relief Spray sure helps me with my joint pains and muscle aches. Blue Emu, it works fast, and you won't stink.
Available at Walmart, Walgreens, and stores everywhere.
All right, welcome back. ESPN 1700, Frank Kriticos here, Lunch and Learn Radio. Any questions for myself or for Mark and Nadia, then just reach out to us directly. You can reach me personally at lunchandlearnradio@gmail.com, lunchandlearnradio@gmail.com. Mark's phone number is 858-254-2484, and then the lovely Nadia is 760-214-1802. You like how I threw in the lovely?
I like that.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
Yeah, Mark, you're lovely too. Sorry, I know. Frank, don't play favorites.
I'm over here, buddy. Here I am.
Okay, so I'm going to put you both on a hot seat. Mark, I'll start with you. Are you ready? I want you to bring out your crystal ball, because my question is where you think the market's going to be in roughly 12 months.
Oh boy, I never get this question. You know, I actually, without getting into specific detail, because if I'm wrong, then I'm going to be wrong. But just judging by what's happened in the past, I think a lot of the market, and I have a two-part answer for this. I think a lot of the market obviously depends on the interest rates and the inventory. I mean, we've had some problems with the inventory. I think we're sitting on about 3.5 months right now.
Compared to what's normal or healthy?
Probably 4.5,
okay.
somewhere around there. But,
okay.
you know, maybe the whole investor thing, and we'll, you know, I don't want to get into that either, but, you know, interest rates, obviously, the purchase power of the buyers out there, and the inventory. And then you have the employment rates, like you say, the reloads, the people coming into San Diego. It's a big biotech. So specifically talking about San Diego, I think it's, you know, has to do with the economic growth in San Diego and possibly the government interaction.
Okay, so I'm going to force you to get a little bit more narrow.
Okay.
Do you think, as a whole, and of course this is difficult because you know, back during 2005, anywhere you look, the market was going up, so it really didn't matter. Now I believe it's more community by community. So as a whole, do you think the market's going to go up? It's going to stay where it is, go down?
I think we're going to see a normalized market. And, you know, if we talk about the definition of normalized, you know, we can have a few. But I think it's going to be stable. I still think that – I don't think we're going to see that investor market that we've seen in some time. We've seen a lot of bailouts. So I think people are finally secure in their homes. So – I think probably in the next 5 years, maybe even sooner, maybe 3 years, we'll see a more of a normalized market.
Okay, so as of now or the next 12, 24 months, pretty stable is where you're going with it.
That's how I would project
Another thing
it.
that I wanted to bring into the conversation is that the lenders are still requiring for all of us to provide and prove our incomes.
Absolutely.
Which is
As
a big
they
deal.
should.
Which
Yeah.
is a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, Nadia, what's your take about 12 months? Maybe, you know, 12 to 24 months. How about that? What's your outlook?
Well, the thing that jumps out at me right away is that we're going to have an election year coming up. So if you look
interesting.
at that in the past, they tend to keep things afloat and not bring a lot of change before that. So it secures the economy. But I kind of feel like we're in a pretty stable one right now here in San Diego. We've got, I find that when it's a buyer's market or just a seller's market, that it's not a win-win, and that doesn't create that stabilized economy that we all want. And I think correcting ourselves, and I think a lot of people are still, lending institution and such, are still learning how to make the corrections from the pitfall we had. But anytime there's an extreme rise, there's going to be an equal extreme low. So I don't feel that we're headed there. I hope we stay where we are and stay stable, where it's a win-win situation. A couple steps forward maybe on pricing and then maybe one or two back.
Okay.
But that kind of allows for a solid foundation. And guess what? On a solid foundation is where we can build a stronger economy.
Right. I think that's good to hear. I really do, because that seems to be the pattern that I'm hearing from most of the agents that come into the studio.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel better, which probably means it makes a lot of our listeners feel a little bit better.
Well, and bottom line, when you're buying something, you know, just because you're approved for $950, that doesn't mean you have to spend the $950.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You can buy something for $7, and I think that's important too. So, you know, set those expectations and stay within your means and be comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Nadia, I want to bring something up because you mentioned something to me a while back that stuck in my mind, and I was actually really impressed by it. You actually will at times spend your own money, and I had to, and correct me if I'm wrong, to stage properties to help with the sellers.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
is that accurate by me saying
it
it?
is. It is. I know.
Wow.
It doesn't make a lot of business sense, but it does, and I'll explain why. So I work with investors, and quite a few years ago it was a different market. They'd call me up. They're like, tenants moved out, got to sell this. And so I walk in. I'm like, how am I going to market a room, a picture of a room that has tan carpet and tan walls? So I thought, and like anybody knows, most buyers start on the internet. Whether they complete their transaction on the internet or not, most of them start looking.
Which is a whole different conversation, by the way.
I would love it, though.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love it.
Yeah.
And it is. It's huge. About 90% start looking online first. So those pictures are imperative. Well, again, how can we, push a picture that is of a vacant, dull room? So I had a warehouse full of stuff. I started bringing it in on my own. The seller's like, what are you doing? And I said, it's going to sell faster and quicker. We had 4 other homes on the market in the same development. How is mine going to stand out against those other ones?
Right. And that's great. I was really impressed, and I just wanted to just verify that I was correct.
Yes.
And I just think it also shows a little bit of your services.
Sure. And you know what? You can see for yourself on before and after pictures.
Okay.
I mean,
that's great.
It's a great tool.
It's a no-brainer. What a difference. A lot of people don't have the ability to vision, myself included. So that's why it would be helpful for me. Mark, I know that you have a listing that you would like to promote. Is that right?
Yeah, I have a great listing in Mission Valley at the Lido. It's 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1274 square feet. If anybody's been to the Lido in Mission Valley, it's got resort-like features. It's got 2 community pools, a community center, barbecue areas, even a dog wash. It's very dog friendly. So it's located right on the river. The price right now is $439, and it's a great unit. It's close to all. You can walk to Mission Valley Mall if you wanted, and all the eateries around there as well.
So for somebody that purchases this, it's all about location. They want to be in the center of everything. They want to be able to walk to the mall. 2 bedrooms at 1275 or 1274 square feet, that's a decent size.
Yeah, it's decent size, and it's great for roommate situations as well because it's got a split bedroom floor plan.
Oh, okay.
It's got a great patio, lots of light.
Okay. What else you got?
I have another one downtown, actually, in the M2I building. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 814 square feet. That's actually listed in a range between $350 and $400. There's no litigation. If anybody knows the M2I building, that's also very centrally located, and it has one of the lowest HOAs in downtown.
That's a great location. I used to live at Diamond Terrace across the street.
Yeah, and it's not a big community. Everybody knows each other. It's a great area.
$350 to $400 for one. I mean, $814 for a 1-bedroom downtown. That I believe that's a pretty good size.
That is
right?
That's
it's bigger
good.
than the one I had in Diamond Terrace a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you're buying the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right.
The lifestyle.
And it comes with a parking spot, but you got smart car business right across the street. You won't even need to get your car out of the garage.
Cool.
Was that where that parking lot was? Is that what they converted it to?
It was where that cafe was.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, interesting. Okay, do you have another one?
I do. I have a. Where's that one? Sorry. This one is located out in my redevelopment area on 304 Millbrae Street. This one is definitely bring your work belt, bring your hammer. It's a 3-2 detached, 1,100 square feet, listed at $285.
What part of town is that?
It's near the Grant Hill area.
Okay.
Right outside of downtown.
What was it called? Mulberry?
Millbrae.
Millbrae.
MIL.
So that's a community, Millbrae?
That's the street.
Oh, okay.
304 Millbrae, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell me that again. So 3-2. It's a fixer.
3-2 detached, 1,100 square feet. It's definitely a fixer. It's listed at $285. And
okay, I'm going to cut you off for a reason. First of all, we're running out of time. Second of all, I want you to send me that link.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Nadia, this is the thing. I would give you plenty of time to talk about your listings, but I just learned last time we spoke, which was not too long ago, you had 5, and they're all in escrow.
Yeah, they are. I know
Good
it's not
for
a
you.
bad problem to have. Pricing them right is definitely key. But we have a couple coming up. Just quick pitch. We have a 4-plex coming up in Escondido.
Okay.
And so investors, give me a call for that one. It cash flows. And we have one coming up in downtown and Solana Beach.
Perfect. Wow, that's impressive. And anybody listening that wants to get in on the action with Nadia, I mean, if you wait till tomorrow, it may be an escrow of somebody else. Okay, so thank you both very much again.
Thank
Mark
you.
Tamborski, right? Almost said it wrong. And then also you have Nadia Colucci. If you want to get in touch with them, contact them directly, or you can always email me at lunchandlearnradio@gmail.com. Thank you both again for coming to the studio.
Thanks for having us.
And I will be back here in the studio on Monday from noon to 1. Have a great day.
All my friends know the low rider.
Shell V-Power Premium Gasoline removes an average of 60% of performance-robbing gunk on intake valves left by low-quality premium gasolines. And it starts with your very first tank. So when you fill